Grab your spade, roll up your sleeves, it's time for tea and dirt. We're going on a journey where the grass is always green, no need for hurt.
G'day friends and welcome back. Now if you go to your big box hardware store right at this moment and have a look at their seed packets, you'll see that they only have 3 or 4 pumpkins. Butternut, a Kent, and if you're lucky, a Queensland blue. Don't get me wrong, a standard butternut will do the job, and they certainly have their own agricultural history, but they are bred mostly to look identical in a cardboard box. What they don't have is your family history, and they rarely have that rich, unique flavour and heirloom charm that we are looking for here in the Shire.
We brew our own ale and bake fresh bread, dance in the moonlight with dreams in our heads.
This right here, this is a piece of living history. This is Uncle Vic's Paw Paw pumpkin. My family has been growing this exact variety, saving the seeds from the best fruit and replanting for over 60 years. To put that into perspective, this pumpkin's lineage is older than I am. Now that it's autumn here in my little part of the Shire in Queensland, most of my pumpkins have been harvested. Today, I'm going to share with you Uncle Vic's pumpkin, show you how to cure it so it lasts the whole winter long, and most importantly, I'm going to show you how to save those seeds the lazy way so you never ever have to buy them again.
No, I'm planting beans and carrots, living life so free, with a cozy little burrow, just my garden and me, rolling in the clover, making mulch by the day. Hobbit life's the best life, come on, join the play.
A new gardener might panic when it comes to autumn and their pumpkin vines start dying. They think maybe they've done something wrong, but this is exactly what we need to happen. The plant is putting its final energy into the fruit. I'm probably a little bit lucky here when it comes to this. In a subtropical climate like we have here, I can usually grow pumpkins all the way up to June, July, up to really our first frost if we get a frost. Sometimes we can grow them all through the year. I'm lucky, sometimes lucky, other times not. Here are the 3 rules for the pumpkin harvest. The thump test. You want it to sound hollow, like a wooden door. The fingernail test. If you press your finger into the skin and it peels away easily, it needs more time. The skin should be as tough as armour. The corky stem. Look at the stalk connecting the pumpkin to the vine. It shouldn't be green. It should be brown, dry, and look like a piece of cork.
Gather round, let me tell you of a tale from way back when. A secret held, a wisdom shared by my Uncle Vic, my friend. Out in the field.
Always leave a handle when you pick them. If you break them off flush with the pumpkin, bacteria will get in and will make them rot before even winter's over.
See, Uncle Vic had the best patch, his orange as a sunset glow, full of seeds that dance like dreams in the cool.
In the Shire, a good harvest is meant to last through those cold, dark winter months. I'm in Queensland, it's always sunny, and it's not so cold. But you can't just go and throw your pumpkins straight into your cupboard. They need to cure. Curing is just a fancy word for letting your pumpkins sit out in the sun for a couple of weeks. But I only give these ones about 3 to 4 days, particularly with the sun that we get here. This hardens the skin up even more and sweetens the flesh. It seals the pumpkin so it can sit in your pantry for about 6 months without going off. So just keep them off the damp ground. I like putting them on a table or even an old wheelbarrow or some dry cardboard. And then you just got to turn them every few days so that the sun hits every side.
From Uncle Vic's secret garden, we keep the harvest bright, curing seeds for winter with joy and pure delight. Lazy ways, the easy path to save what we have sown. No more packets from the store, let our magic be our own. Come and sing, come and share. At harvest time we play with seeds.
Now the most important part, the reason we've had this pumpkin for 60 years. If you find a vegetable that thrives in your soil, that survives the Queensland heat waves or your climate and tastes incredible, you save the seeds. But before you go saving any seed from any old pumpkin in your patch, there is one crucial rule. Pumpkins are incredibly promiscuous. I hope I said that right. Promiscuous. Honestly, they get tangled up faster with their neighbours than two little hobbits in Farmer Maggot's mushroom patch. Say that really quick. If you plant Uncle Vic's pumpkin next to a Kent pumpkin or a butternut, the bees are going to fly between the flowers and mix up that pollen. Now the pumpkin you harvest this year will look normal, but if you save those cross-pollinated seeds and plant them in spring, you won't get Uncle Vic's heirloom. You'll grow some weird, warty Franken-pumpkin. It's like inviting a respectable Baggins to dinner and the Sackville Baggins turn up instead. Bitter, tough, and nobody wants them there. Hey Winston, nobody wants you. So, if you want to keep your pumpkins pure, you have to isolate your varieties. I only grow one type of pumpkin in this patch. That way the bees cannot mess up 60 years of family history.
With Uncle Vic's secret seeds and laughter as our cream, we'll harvest.
Here is the lazy seed saving method. Dump the guts of the pumpkin into a bowl of water. The seeds, they say, will float to the bottom, but they won't. I found that most of my pumpkin seeds float up to the top. So scoop all the seeds that you can from the top and the bottom if you want, and throw them onto a tray of baking paper. Let these dry completely out of direct sunlight for a couple of weeks. Once they snap and don't bend, they are ready. Put them in an envelope, write the year on them, and stick them in a dark, cool place until spring.
Plant a tree, grow a dream, save the bees. Every thumbs up helps me plant more trees. Rattle the light.
Permaculture isn't just about digging swales and making compost. It's about resilience, family, and the simple life. It's about keeping those heirloom varieties alive and passing them on. I'll be planting these exact seeds when the ground warms up in spring, just like my family has done for the last 6 decades. If you've got a family heirloom seed, tell me in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Hit subscribe to keep up with the autumn harvest, and I'll see you in the next one. For the viewers who have waited, here's the story directly from the man himself.
Hey, I'm Victor Hilker, Gary's uncle.
And how long you been here?
I've been here for 40 odd years here.
And when was the first time you planted these type of pumpkins?
We planted them at a home farm at Glenna Grove there about 60 years ago.
And how did you keep this type of pumpkin for all this time?
Well, we just kept growing them all the time and then keeping the seeds out and planting them next time. And a while back I took some up to Hellet and planted, and we grew pumpkins up there. And then I got some seeds from back up there and brought them back here. I generated the seeds around.
Yeah. So how have you done that every year? So,
Every year, yeah.
Yep.
And then Then a long time ago when Mum was alive and lately, Ken used to grow them in there.
Yeah, and that's your
I've-
brother?
I've got seeds from Ken's place yet too.
Okay.
And I just sort of generated them around, like, you know, from one district to the other.
So out of all the pumpkins that you grow, how do you decide which is the best pumpkin to save the seeds from?
Well, you get the better size one, like. I've got different seeds there, like from ones with long and a shorter one.
So what makes this specific variety better than any other pumpkin that you'd buy from the shop?
Well, this pumpkin is drier. It cooks. It's a dry pumpkin, not a soupy one. And a lot of people love them because they're sweeter.
They're sweeter, yep.
Yeah.
So I pick the pumpkin when it's really, really like dried out, like the stems are dried out. How do you pick your pumpkin?
I pick mine from the colour of the bottom. The bottom of the pumpkin, when it's nice and yellow on the bottom,
Yep.
and the top of the skin is nice and dark, then pick them all.
So when they're still green?
Yeah, just before they start to ripen, the stem dry.
So you've been gardening for a fair few years. What do you think's been the biggest difference between how people garden from, say, in the 60s and 70s to how they garden today?
Well, today we got more pests and venom like in them,
Yeah.
diseases. The old days we used to plant them and just pretty well let them grow.
Did you used to use as much pesticides and chemicals back then?
No, not in them days, like 60 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. And like compared to today?
Oh well, you got to keep the fruit fly out of them and everything today.
Yeah, yep. So you said that when the weather is rough and the bugs are bad, so what keeps you coming back to growing these every year then?
Well, it's just a hobby, I think.
Just a hobby?
Yeah, just a hobby of keeping that variety going.
Yeah. And so how do you feel knowing that these seeds now are going to keep growing in my garden and hopefully like my kids' garden in the future?
if you keep swapping around, like you grow them at your place and grow them somewhere else another time and pick the seeds from there,
Yeah.
and I reckon generating them around is better.
Like sharing them?
Yeah, sharing them around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. So how old are you, Vic?
I'm 84 now.
Yep. And how long you been gardening for?
Well, pretty well all my life.
And still gardening?
Yeah, well, I was farmer first, and now I'm retired and gardening now.
Yep, yep. Nah. And you got about 8 acres here?
Yeah, I got 8 acres here, and
You got bees, chickens,
yeah,
gardens?
and a dam for water,
Yep. That big dam for water?
and two cattle here eating the grass.
Yep. So
And
what's the biggest thing that keeps you going with your gardening?
my dog.
Your dog?
She won't leave me alone. No, it's just more that you keep active, the better. It keeps you going.
Plant a tree, grow a dream, save the peace. Every thumbs up helps me plant more trees.